So why don't we go ahead and do our usual and start with 3 beautiful ohms straight from our heart so that we can all unite one with the other one, okay? So, okay, much better. So does anybody remember what the word has been that we're meditating on for the month of August? Mara.
Inspire.
Exactly. And have you been inspired this month, my dear?
Yes, I have. Yes. Wonderfully so. Yes.
Oh, good. Do you happen to know what the saboteur is?
Conspire.
Yes, exactly. I'm not going to ask you if you've been involved with conspiring with others. I think we know the answer to that.
Yes, I do my best to avoid it.
Exactly, exactly. So this past month, we've been really like focusing on inspiration, inspire, and of course, its saboteur is conspire. And remember, maybe we talked about this, I'm not sure, but the word inspire, conspire, spiritual, expiration, thinking of all the words that have S-P-I-R in them, that really originally meant to breathe. So it's important for us to remember that everything has to do with breathe. So this word inspire and conspire was not going to be the word for August, but I happened to be sitting down pondering about the word, and that kept coming into my mind. And then I looked it up just to see where it had a derivation. And when I realized it was all about breathing, I thought, I see, I'm being inspired to have us all work on the word inspire. It's a wonderful word. We don't really use it very often in conversation. I mean, when do you think the last time was you said to somebody, oh my God, I was so inspired? And here it is. It's like, wow, we're missing out on such a beautiful experience to be inspired. So I hope that over this last month, you've been thinking on that and also remembering that inspire means to breathe in. So it means to breathe in God, breathe in God. And remember, that's the first thing you do as you're born. First thing you do is take in air. That's the very first thing you do, is to breathe in. The last thing that you do when you leave this plane is to expire. Breathe out. So we come full circle. We breathe in, and then as we leave, we breathe out. So it's very important that we learn to follow our breath. And remember, we talk a lot about how thinking, breathing, and speaking are all the same thing. You see, we don't realize that the way that we think is completely coordinated with our breathing. It is. Everything that goes on with our breath is about how we think. So and I always use the example of anxiety because it's something that you can see with your own eyes. When a person begins to get anxious, the breathing begins to shift until it gets to a point to where it's like, I can't catch my breath. There's a panic that begins to happen. So we have words to describe this: stress, anxious, anxiety. We say attack, panic. All of these things are all connected with our breath. Now, when you feel peaceful, truly peaceful, when you feel like, oh my gosh, day is done, I feel really good, I feel satisfied about what's occurred, you can't breathe like this. You'll breathe very beautifully slow. When we're really feeling confident, truly confident, because remember that confidence is more closely related to humility than it will ever be to arrogance. So when we're truly feeling confident within ourselves, our breath will be long and slow. It will. So when we sit down to meditate, and we all know this that I'm going to tell you about, and I talk about it again and again and again. But when we sit down to meditate, what happens is, this is so unpleasant. I had no idea my mind goes so fast. And of course, we know that, when people are learning to meditate, which is for maybe 10,000 years, but when we're learning to meditate, everybody always tells us, watch your breathing, watch your breathing. Well, that's just not a coincidence that everyone's saying that. There's something to that, because as we learn to make our breath long and slow, guess what? Our thoughts are deeper and more meaningful. Shallow thoughts and shallow breathing are the same. So when you want to think deeper thoughts about peace, thoughts about spirituality, when you really feel inspiration, when you're really in an inspired state, sorry, curious cats. Oh, I see. Oh, major accident. It's one of those mornings around here. Oh, thank goodness we have other humans to take care of this. Oh, yeah, you're going to need a lot more than that. Yeah, door 3, right there, right there. And there's some paper towels. Yeah, okay. So sorry. We had okay. It's all well. It's all good. It's just water, actually. So you even see how that went? Do you see how my breathing changed? Right? Yeah. Minute I went, huh? See how that works? So it's happening. So that's kind of cool that actually happened like that, so that you could see how my breathing changed immediately like that, right? So when we're wanting to think peaceful thoughts, or we're in a place of inspiration, our breath automatically will slow down. Automatically it does. It just finds its natural rhythm. Our natural rhythm is not choppy and quick. It's not like a really fast rock and roll song. That's not that's not your natural state. The natural state is a very concentrated sense of intelligence. Human beings are incredibly intelligent. It doesn't matter that we think one another is not that. We're all human beings. We're all of very, very high intelligence, because we are a species who are becoming aware that we are divine. There's no other species on this planet that is learning to be aware that we are divine. Does that inspire you? Does that make you go, what the hell does that mean? I like it, but I don't know what that means, right? That's inspiration when you're like, what? Right? Yeah, we are the only species on this planet that wonders who we are, that wonders what eternity means, that wonders about the afterlife, that wonders about aliens. We wonder about all these different things, whereas those that are other species, our animal friends, they don't. But when we look at them, we see the peace that they have. Part of that is because they aren't wondering, but our job is to wonder, which means we have to change. We have to learn to breathe as this very intelligent species who's learning to go beyond what they have been taught. So animals have perfect breath because they're not going beyond what they have been taught. They know what they have to do. They have to, they have to build their house. They've got to find a place to live. They got to feed themselves. They're not waiting for anybody to deliver. They're not waiting for Grubhub. Nope. They're not waiting for someone to treat them. Well, mine are, but others aren't. So the thing is that they're not wondering who they are in terms of spirituality. We are. We're the ones that require inspiration. Animals do receive inspiration from us.
Where's the sound?
Taking care of them. When they see us taking care of them, they respond to us and they start to think in a new way. They're growing, they're evolving, and eventually they earn a human life. Ooh, you see, we are cosmic beings. We are aliens to those who live on other planets. Remember that. We're so fascinated with this term alien. It's like, but you are an alien. You're an alien to all other life forms, whatever they may look like or be like or feel like or anything, whatever dimension that they live in. We're all aliens to one another who live in multiple dimensions. The universe is way too big for us to decide we know what it is and we're the best and we live one time and that's the way it is. Shut it down. Sometimes we just try to shut each other down rather than feel inspired and go, wait, what did she say? Could it be? What did he say? I wonder. That's the way you want to live. What could that be possible? To be inspired is to feel that sweet sensation that something has opened inside of your mind, but you don't quite know what it is. It's almost like deja vu. Inspiration is almost like deja vu. You know how you feel deja vu and you're like, oh, and we all know what it is. You know, you can feel, you know, that feeling of deja vu and you go, oh, what is that? Inspiration is the same thing. Wow, really? They're very similar. It's something that takes you beyond your norm. And because we're human beings, that's what we do. We go beyond what we have been taught. We're to have this understanding that not only are we related and connected to our relatives and to those that we love, but we're connected to every species on the planet. We're connected to the planet. We're connected to the sun. We're connected to aliens, whatever that means. I keep saying that because it's on my mind today. We're connected with all life in the whole universe. And guess what? The universe is connected to us. So of course there's beings in other dimensions and other worlds and other places who are wondering about us. What's those humans doing there on Earth? Or wondering, are there humans on Earth somewhere? You see, we're all connected to one another. I say it to you this way so that you allow yourself to not only think about what you have to do to feed yourself and your family and get through the day and save for retirement and all of these different things, care for your health, take care of your car, but don't let those things make you forget that you are a cosmic being. So one way to think about this is everything is energy, okay? So you've probably heard that 500 times before. Everything is energy, all right? So let's talk about that for just a moment. So you know how it feels to get angry. If anybody doesn't know, just let me know and I'll explain it to you because it's happened to me. Okay, everybody's familiar with it? Good, okay. So the thing is that when we're studying energy, learning to be aware of energy, this is one of the best ways to teach yourself to become aware of energy. So somebody comes along and they say something and it insults you. The minute you feel that insult come in, you'll start to feel your body change. You'll start to feel your mind change. You'll even be saying to yourself, I'm getting angry. Now, I am getting angry, okay? Which means I'm aware that this is happening to me. I can feel myself changing. I'm reacting to what this person has said to me. But now I'm just kind of like watching it, but I'm not really paying close attention to it. So the next thing is that now physically I'm experiencing it. Starting to feel a little heated, and this is all happening in a matter of seconds, since I would already have been exploded by now if this were really happening. But we're going step by step. So first we have awareness of, wow, of course we wouldn't say I'm getting angry, we would probably say that makes me PO'd. Right? Whatever it is that you start to say to yourself when you first start to recognize that, hey, it's that kind of a feeling, right? So as soon as you start doing that hey business, your heart starts to react differently. You start to breathe differently. You know, even our eyes, you know, we have those highbrow, furrowed brow. We have all different kinds of looks with our eye. We have side eye. We have a lot of different looks that's telling us you're changing. The energy inside of you is shifting. It's reacting to energy outside of you. So after a while, I'm thinking to myself, I'm getting angry until finally I'm like, I am angry. You see, now I've identified with it. So now I become it. So what we're trying to do is to be inspired about being a human being and learning to help ourselves so that we're not out of control. Anger, we talk a lot about anger because it's our go-to emotion. I'm going to come back to what we were just saying. I just want to explain to you why I choose anger to talk about so often, because anger can happen in a little or a lot, and we can be a lot angry over something really, really small. You know, anger is something that we deal with on a daily basis. And don't think I'm saying to you, you're an angry person and I'm not. I'm not saying anybody's an angry person. I'm saying everybody deals with it. We do. We all deal with it. It comes from a single moment of being impatient. And excuse me, but I'm sure we all have a single moment of impatience. And from that forward, it starts to grow into differing levels of frustration and whatnot until it becomes anger. When anger is radically out of control, it becomes madness because we do things that are mad in that way, you know? So the thing is that we want to be inspired that we actually are human beings and we can actually control this. Can you imagine if you could harness the power of a hurricane? Well, that's what we're talking about, to harness that power that normally would be just shot off, you know, in an angry moment. Think of all that energy that just left you. That's perfectly good energy. Wonderful, wonderful energy that you no longer have. Because it was shot off into the universe in a not so pleasant way. So that energy that could be harnessed for something good really got corrupted somewhere along inside of us and then shot out into the universe. Now it's available for other people. And so if I'm someplace and I shoot that energy out, that anger energy, somebody walking by there can catch it because it's energy. Now they're like walking around going home going, I don't know why I'm having such a bad day, but you're going to pay for it. You know, it's that kind of thing. So we're spreading this energy. But when we get inspired that we are cosmic beings, that we are a lot more than what we were ever taught. The reason that we're always thinking that, oh, I'm nothing, I don't deserve, you know, I'm unworthy, all of these thoughts that we have, because we don't realize we're cosmic beings. We think that's arrogant to think that way. Oh God, no, I'd never promote arrogance. No, we don't need that. Let's do the real thing. Arrogance is when you can't find your way to confidence, so you fake it. Arrogance is always faking it. You can't find your way to real confidence, so you fake it. We don't need that. No, we're in the study of spirituality. We know that confidence is about truth. It's real. And it's empowering. And it's helping us to understand that we have the ability to control ourselves. And it's a practice. We have to do it. We have to do it until the day we leave the planet. If we don't, our lives are spent. Have you ever seen people who never learn to really control their anger? After a while, they can't even really speak because it's just like, you know, it's very difficult. It's so hard. It's hard on their heart. You can see it in their face. They withdraw. It's all kinds of interesting that happens. And, you know, I really have compassion for them because they have no idea that they don't have to feel that way. They don't know at that point. Now they feel completely victimized. A lot of people who feel really victimized, they've been very angry for a long time and they didn't get any results. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. So we want to be inspired by, we are cosmic beings. We can overcome. We can overcome. We can all do better than we are right now. As individuals, that's what growth is, doing better. So that's why I say we can all do better, because we all aspire to grow. We all want to have a little bit more information, a little bit, you know, we all want to have a little bit more understanding of how can I be more happy. That's why we have people looking for all kinds of, what's the latest and greatest high, right? Is it traveling through the air? Is it taking a pill? What is it? You know, we're always looking for something that will inspire us, that will make us feel better. But we don't realize if we worked on it every single day, we would feel better and better. Better and better every day. To be inspired is help yourself, work on yourself. Your practice will inspire you because you will find that you're handling situations better today than you did last year. And that's pretty remarkable. If you're doing better this year with all that's going on than you were last year, you're doing really well. A lot of times people come to me and they say, we're talking about things like this, difficult things like this. And they'll say, but I'm doing better, but I'm doing better. It's like said in such a defensive way. It's like, well, of course you are. We don't want to take any of that away from when we talk about this and we say we all have to work on anger. I'm not saying that because I'm there and you're not. I'm saying this so that we don't have shame. Who has time for shame? Do you have time for shame? Anyone have time for shame? No, no time for it. But he's so happy he can do that now. Oh, it's time. So we have no time for shame. So no shaming of the self, no shaming of others. It's okay that you're not perfect. Shocking.
Don't say that to a Virgo.
Oh yeah, Ruby just said, don't say that to a Virgo, of which she's one. Or wherever we have Virgo in our charts. Yeah, so yeah, no, yeah, that's why we're saints in training. There's not a saint in sight here. We're all in boot camp. Doesn't it feel like life is like a boot camp? You know, it's like everything's going pretty good and then suddenly so what we're talking about is not that you're neglecting yourself and not that you're not doing well, but to remember that what we're talking about, self-control, is a practice. It is a practice every single day, learning to feel inspired enough to know I don't have to lose my centeredness over this person acting the way that they do. And what makes it really hard though, is the person who's upset with you, the person who's angry with you will throw that energy right at you. It's like this, and it'll go right at you. So have some compassion with yourself, for yourself, so that you don't immediately want to throw it back. You got to have compassion for yourself that you were just hit with something. And it's energy. You see how we're all moving through the sea of energy. So people, when they're angry at us, when you're angry at another, the same thing happens. Other people have felt your anger. Don't forget that part, because I'm talking about how it affects you when people throw it on you, but that means that you're on the opposite side too. All of us have thrown the anger, all of us have received the anger, and it will continue on until it doesn't. The more awareness that we have, the better that we become with it. So as you can start to feel, oh, I am getting angry. In these few seconds, what you want to do is help yourself to feel that you're already starting to constrict. When a person starts to get angry, they start to stand up straighter because see, they're constricting. You see how even my neck is doing it? You know, it's like we're constricting. My face is constricting. Anger makes us constrict. It doesn't make us open up. Woo. No. We constrict and we move forward. Now, if you can start to feel that, you'll also feel that your blood vessels are constricting. Everything is constricting, boom, which means everything has to work harder. Your heart now is beating, beating, beating. Your temperature is rising. Now, we're human beings. I think we can feel this, but we pretend like we can't, because we get so caught up in the moment that you threw anger at me. How dare you? That what all of our energy goes to in that minute is grabbing all of that energy and throwing it back double. So instead of going, wow, am I really that bad? I don't really do that. It's not on purpose. Don't go through all that. We don't need to shame and blame. We all do it. There is no exemption here. This is how it works. This is energy. No shame, no blame. Let's just learn. Let's just learn to get better. Let's learn to identify anger is arising in my body. It's starting to make my mind hot. And start having things where you have a practice of immediately starting to help yourself. It's very, very difficult once those symptoms start to actually go, oh, let me breathe this out. Very difficult if you haven't been practicing. Chances are you won't be able to do it unless you've been practicing it. First thing we want to do is to get away from what it is that's making us angry if we can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just not going to happen. Sometimes it's an office situation and somebody has said something to you and you can't even leave your station. You have to still stay there. You have to take that insult that was just hurled at you and kind of swallow it. You can't do anything about it. But yes, you can. With awareness, with the practice, you can start to go, oh my God. Not only am I angry, but other people were in the room when this happened, and now I'm feeling humiliated. That's even worse. Now what do we do with it? Now what do we do with it? Usually what we do is we try to make ourselves invisible. We go into the deep, deep place inside of ourselves. We try to keep our face like this, like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And inside we're invisible and we're devastated. I'm sure everybody has had an experience at some place or another where you feel devastated. How do we come back from that? Again, the first thing you have to do is you have to be there for you. You've traveled through time with yourself. You've been with yourself longer than you've been with anybody you've ever met. Nobody knows you better than you. We're always waiting for someone to come and save us, someone who does not know us as well as we know ourselves. And we're always available. We're always available to help ourselves. But we get so resentful that the cavalry isn't marching in to save us. We get angry with our friends, with our relatives. I'm going through a lot. And did they show up for me? Well, what are you, chopped liver? Show up for yourself. You're already there. You're already there. Whether anybody shows up for you or everybody shows up for you, it really won't help you as much as if you're there first. You got to be your own first responder. You got to inspire yourself and go, oh my God, I need help right now. I'm devastated. You see how I'm saying I am devastated. I'm not saying I have devastation, which would be much easier to deal with. When I say I am, it means I have identified with it. It's like saying I am Jacqueline. I am devastation. Wow. That is not the way you want to leave yourself hanging. So if you hear yourself saying, I am devastated, I am completely drained, I am so angry, any of those things, you want to immediately know that, okay, you got to be your first responder. What are you going to do? Get in the shower if you can. Walk outside if you can. Start breathing, wiggle your toes. Remember you're a human being. Drink a glass of cold water, put some ice in it, go to the refrigerator immediately and get ice water if you can. Notice that I say if you can, because you've given me in all kinds of circumstances where sometimes these things are available and sometimes they're not. But you have to have a practice within yourself so that you have tools to go to. So you're in traffic, you can't get cold water right now. Somebody just honked at you in a terrible kind of way and you feel like, I didn't even see you. I don't even know what you're upset about, whatever it may be, right? What are you going to do? So remember that their anger just came through your window and it came right through the window because it's energy. Energy doesn't care if it's metal or glass or wood. It goes right through it, comes right through that window. And now you're wearing the person in the other car. You're wearing them. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to start to look like them. That means you're going to do what was done to you right back to them or to someone else. This is how anger is contagious. Comes right in from the other person and washes all over you. Ugh. But instead of being horrified by it, we're just like, let's spread it around. And we just start spreading it to whoever's in our vicinity. It's an anger party, Now we all have it. Because it's energy. Energy doesn't stop. We think of things, we put a name on it. That's anger. It's energy. It won't go away. It dissipates, it changes into something else. That's how energy works. So if you have anger in you, this person has anger for you, it comes in on you, it taps on the anger you already have from all the other people that you feel like have made you angry before. And now you're like all lit up with anger and you're thinking about people from the past and situations that reminded you of this. And before you know it, before you get to your destination, you're just a puddle. That's energy for you. But if you have a practice, you will be inspired to try to bring yourself to peace. Because you know why? You won't want to be weak. You will want to be strong. A practice makes you desire strength because everybody wants to feel good. You forget about how much you want to feel good until you've been sick, like if maybe you've had something that made you sick for a few days. And then you're so much better. You're like, oh my God, I feel so good. Nobody wants to be sick with anger, have anger sickness, sorrow sickness, resentment sickness, victim sickness. Nobody wants these sicknesses. But we feel like we can't, like we're powerless. And it's not true. Remember, we're aliens. We can do anything. We're cosmic beings. You have to remember that. Because if you think you're just a personality, then you won't think that you have any control over yourself. And you will think that when the other person is angry at you, that they actually have control over you. And you better show them that they don't. Don't bother with it. You have to know in your heart they have no control over you. I understand in legal situations, I see people suffering from deep, deep, deep anxiety and anger. It's very difficult because they're anticipating a particular outcome that's going to affect them. When people go through these things, they're very anxious, they're very scared, they're very angry, all kinds of things. It's very, very difficult. So when we're going through really, really difficult things like that, you're going to resist a practice. You will. I'm telling you this because it's just normal. It isn't natural, but it's normal. We all start to resist practicing when we need it the most. Because what's happened is that the energy has got into your mind so deeply that it's like ropes, and it's just tied your mind up in knots. And now you actually don't even have the desire to come to your own rescue. You're like, so if you call me and ask me, what should I do? And I say, breathe, you're going to be like, oh yeah, good. Why'd I even bother calling you? You're really helpful. But yet, that is the best thing that you could possibly be doing to yourself, but it seems so little. And your hurt and your sorrow, your anger seems so big. How could breathing make that go away? Well, you won't know until you try. And more often than not, when we first begin our practice, we don't try. No, we just sit there, stewing, knowing what I really need is I need to breathe or I need to go and walk. No, because you can't, because the energy is balled up in your head. It's balled up in your heart. But if you can think of it as energy, not as this is you. You see how we went from I am getting angry to now I am anger? You have to remember you are not anger. You are a human being. You are a cosmic being first. Anger is some energy that's moving through you that currently is overtaking you.
You always say having a practice means that you don't have to prove you're right.
Oh yeah, Ruby just reminded me. You can tell him.
She always says having a practice means that you don't need to prove that you're right in every situation.
It's true. If you have a practice, you know that you don't have to prove that you're right, because the practice will save you from trying to express that you're right to the other person. Because being right pulls you into the fray, because you're going to insist that the other person gets you, they get you, that they understand you, and they know you're right. The main thing. But when you have a practice, You know better than that, because you know what will happen is that once you get involved with them and this that you're going to get the shakes. Your eyes are going to bulge. You're going to get overheated and you're going to be out of balance for 3 days. And you know, there are words that are said in the heat of anger that you can't pretend that you didn't hear it. There are things that are said that no matter what can't be unsaid. So all of us have said things to other people, and all of us have had the experience of other people saying to us things that we can't forget. No matter how sorry both people are, those things are still affecting us energetically. Every memory that you have, there's energy today that's still affecting that memory. And that memory is still affecting things that are happening today, because energy doesn't go away. It changes its form, but it doesn't go away. So the more that you learn to control the energy, the more confident that you become, the more safe that you become, the more protected that you become. When we get really, really angry and we lose ourselves, it literally takes 3 days for us to recover from the anger. It can actually steal a month's worth of nutrients away from us for every 5 minutes of anger that you experience. Now, where am I getting these numbers? From the yogis. I don't make them up. It takes a lot of energy to be angry. But we do it so much that we don't even realize it. So apparently we could actually live to be 200 years old if we took better care of our energy. But we don't know how, because we haven't been practicing, that's all. No blaming, shaming. If we learned how to control our emotional energy and our mental energy, if we put as much emphasis on that like we do our diet, we all know how to count calories and how to do, the latest and greatest and all of that. And this is all a really wonderful thing because our bodies are very obvious, but energy is invisible to the eye. So we don't really think about what's healthy for me. How can I control myself so that I don't become angry all the time? We don't try to do that. If we'll say, how can I control my eating? But we won't say, how can I control consuming anger? I know I have to watch my consumption of alcohol, my consumption of sugar, but what about our consumption of anger? We have to be inspired to get better, to get stronger, and to understand that once anger sets in and we lose our balance, it will steal our nutrients from us. Because if you've ever had a really serious anger situation with someone, and it can't be settled in a day and in one thing, and it kind of lingers on, it drains you. And I think everybody's familiar with that feeling of drain. That's what I mean. It takes a month's nutrients away from you that you worked really hard to get. It took time, money to get those nutrients in you. And then it's like a forest fire. Anger is like a forest fire. It happens like that. It's hot, it burns. Then it burns right through you, and it burns everything. It burns all of your energy because it needs the fuel to stay alive. Anger needs all of your fuel to stay alive. In order to be angry, you have to keep producing the fuel to keep the fire going. And then when you don't have that fuel, you're completely depleted. This is really hard because we say, yeah, but the other people are still at it. I have to stay angry. It's an illusion. That's one of the biggest things about anger is that we think that we have to be as angry as the other person or they're going to walk all over us. That's not true at all. But it's an illusion every single one of us suffer from. When you're clear-minded, when your anger has more control, when you have more control over it, you're more clear-minded. You have more inner strength. You have more reserves. You're going to come up with solutions that you couldn't before when you were suffering from anger. Because when anger is running through your mind, you can't come up with proper solutions because the anger is busy eating your pantry of all your good ideas, all of your nutrients, all of the fuel that you've had. Anger's in there eating it away as quickly as possible so it can stay alive. Yes, chomp, chomp. Seriously, we have to find a way to laugh about this too, so that it'll get your interest into understanding that everything is energy. Laughter is energy. Laughter is such profound energy that we can be talking about something as devastating as the fire of anger, and we can actually laugh. That's because we're human beings. That's divine. Because remember, the moment that you're laughing, in that moment, you know what they say in Zen, they always say that when you're laughing, it's pseudo-enlightenment. It is the only time that you will experience true enlightenment without being enlightened. So the moment a negative thought comes into your mind, you can't laugh anymore. So when you're laughing, no negativity will exist inside of you. That's why in India, they have those groups, the laughter meditation groups, and they'll meet in a park and they'll just start laughing. And before you know it, we know that you see energy is contagious. Those Indians are so wonderful. You know, there they are laughing in the park, becoming enlightened, you know, and then they're off to work they go, you know, filled with all of this incredible strength. That's total strength that they're starting their day with. And here's Merkins at the coffee shop. Well, yeah, have you heard about this and you heard about that? Then off to work we go. You see, it's about learning that everything is energy. We don't have to be ashamed. We don't have to be ashamed. That's energy. Shame, the experience of shame will make you not want to be seen. And that goes against our ability as a human being. It's not that we want to be seen, but we want to participate. We want to be with each other. Oh, yes. There was a really good question. Is the term of emotional eating to fuel the fire of anger? Exactly. Emotional. Yeah, because you know you're hungry. When you're going through a really horrible time and anger's got a hold of you, don't you want something crunchy? Or something really sweet? Oh yeah, you go in the pantry and you're looking for stuff. Or you don't eat it all, that's true. Or you're too exhausted to eat, you know? But it's important for you to see the aftermath of anger, a bout of anger, so that you can see it. You can start to see the physical effects of the energy of anger, where it starts, and then how it reveals itself, and then the aftermath of how you're depleted and how you can't think straight and, you know, you're exhausted. And, you know, when people go through relationships that are very difficult and the couple can argue on a daily basis, you know, or very, very often, you'll see them start to change. Even their appearance will change. One of them usually changes a lot more than the other one. Quite often there's one that will be feeding, so to speak, off of the other one. So one can look good and the other one could suddenly look tragic. It's all energy, the exchange of energy that's going on. So the longer we're in difficult situations or situations where there's chronic negativity, if you don't have a practice, it'll eat you up. And that's what we say, it's eating me up inside. So again, you're wanting more nutrients because you can feel there's something feeding on you. It's called anger. It's inside of you and it's like a parasite and it wants to be fed. And it's either anger gets fed or you get fed. I'd say starve that dang thing. Sounds cruel, but that's the way it is. Starve it. Exactly. Emotions are contagious. Somebody was just talking about watching a couple starting to dance in a mall. And then the next thing you know, all these other people were dancing with them. Isn't that wonderful? I love that. You know, you see some people spontaneously singing. Remember when people used to sing Christmas carols when we were kids, you know, and you'd walk by and it's like, you know, then you're singing with them, you know, all these things are so contagious. We just have to get back to really wanting to experience joy and peace.
It
You know?
was amazing. Go online and look in the mall. One couple started dancing to all this music. Next thing you know, there's about 40 to 50 couples dancing. It was amazing.
I love that. That's really good. Yeah, these are the things that we want to spread around. It's easy to spread anger around because it's available. Oh, okay. What about sorrow and receiving someone's anger? I hope I understand this question well. Let me know if I don't. So, you know how we talk about being empaths? Everybody is an empath. It's just a matter of degrees before you start calling somebody an empath. But everybody's a human being. Every human being is empathetic, whether they show it or not, whether they show this much or they show a ton of it. We all have empathy inside of us because we are all divine. You have no option but to have empathy available inside of you. Now, whether you ever recognize it or use it, that's a whole nother matter. But every human being has empathy. Each one of us come from divine consciousness. We're part of it. That's the way it is. You can't get away from that. You can pretend you're not, but you are, which is why we can change. So with empathy, we're more consciously feeling other people's pain, other people's anger, all these different things. Now, a person who isn't aware that they can do this, or that all human beings do this, they have no awareness of it, they will be bombarded by anger. They will be bombarded by sadness. They will live drained lives. Now, empaths, people we refer to as empaths, are people who've become conscious of everything is energy. And that consciousness makes them feel, oh my gosh, I feel this sadness. I walked into this house and I felt sadness, or I walked over there and I felt anger. So we're becoming conscious that everything is energy. So when we use the term empath, it means that we're becoming conscious. So empaths are not feeling anything that wasn't already always there. Like people will say to me, I don't want to feel. People keep telling me I'm intuitive. I don't want to be. I get it. I get it. But it doesn't matter.
You cry in grocery stores. It happens.
That's right. Ruby knows. She's seen me in grocery stores having a hard time. Or sometimes in restaurants, I have a hard time where a wave of sadness will come over me so suddenly that I'll lose my balance. So if I don't have a practice, I'm just going to avoid places and want to be a hermit, which I already kind of am, right? I know. So what we want to do is we want to become more conscious. And as you become more conscious that everything's energy, you will feel more pain. You will feel other people's pain more. You will feel other people's suffering. You'll feel oppression more deeply. You'll feel fear from other people. You'll feel all kinds of different things from others. And it can be disconcerting. And what happens is it's moving through you because it moves through the air. So even though, like I told you, that would make me want to stay home all the time, am I safe in my home? No. Because why? Because energy moves through glass. It moves through wood. It moves through stone. It moves through everything. You can't escape it. You can't escape it. And besides, you don't even need someone to make you angry. You can start thinking about bad thoughts, bad experiences that you had in the past. You can be all by yourself and create a little thunderstorm of anger inside of yourself by reflecting on bad situations from your past. I can't believe that happened to me. Wow. There's nobody there but you. Yeah. So you don't even need to be around people to catch it. So empaths are conscious that they're feeling it. Everybody else on the planet who isn't conscious of feeling it are still feeling it. They're just not consciously feeling it, but they're feeling it too. They're being affected by it. I'm being affected by it. I'm just conscious of it. So the more conscious that we are of it, the more likely we are to stop anger before it becomes a tornado. So it's better to be an empath and to learn to deal with sorrow and sadness and anger than not to be an empath at all. When you're not an empath at all, you really can suffer from victimization because you don't realize that it's energy and that you can do something about it. You just don't know it. So we have a question here about conspiracy. I love the way that you worded this. I'm wondering about conspire in this time of conspiracy theories. I am assuming you mean a group of people working for the good of society. Could you speak a little more about this? Yeah, actually, I'm not speaking about that. To conspire means to plot, P-L-O-T. Yeah, that's what it means. So it's the breathing out. So we breathe God in doesn't mean because, so first of all, before we go any further, there's no difference except for the words of outside and inside. Okay, here's the inside of my house and there's the outside of my house. It's just this illusion that there's an inside and an outside. The windows are open, the doors are open. I mean, come on, do you see what I'm saying? So the inside of you is, do you think that this is completely protecting you from the outside? No. Everything that's in the outer world moves right through this bone. I understand my skull is thick and people who disagree with me think it's really thick. Why won't you agree with me? Oh, why should I? So, but the energies get through everything, okay? So to conspire is to breathe out. It means to breathe out words in a group, but it means to plot. So plotting comes from fear. You don't plot when you're fearless. When you have fear, you plot because you feel you're being overtaken. If you feel you're being overtaken, you're going to plot to overtake those who you feel are overtaking you, which means that you're becoming a mirror to what you think is happening to you. So conspiracy things, when we conspire with each other, we join forces because we're afraid. But what we don't realize is that we're mirroring things of fear. So this is really hard. This thing about mirroring is a really hard thing. So remember how I told you how when maybe you're on the road and somebody throws anger at you and it comes through your window and it comes into your car and then you get it and then you feel like you have to do to them exactly what they have done to you. That's mirroring. So to conspire is to mirror. If you feel like somebody's hurting you or you feel like they're after you, whether they are or whether they aren't, you're going to mirror that fear back to them. You're going to want them to feel afraid. So we have to be careful to not to ever want anyone to feel afraid. See, anger, when we get really angry and we join with others, then we generate a feeling of we'll get you if you're not like us. And it doesn't matter what group we're talking about. I don't care if it's the purple people eaters, you know, it doesn't really matter who we're talking about here. I don't need to get political or religious or anything else. It doesn't really matter. We're talking about human behavior here. And we never, ever, ever should want to make anyone afraid. Have you ever been afraid? Oh my God, it's horrible. Last thing we ever want to do is to make someone afraid. It's a terrible thing. I'll get you, you'll get yours. It's a terrible thing to threaten or to tell people bad things will happen to you if you think this way, or I'll get you, or there'll be retaliation, or, you know, be afraid, be very afraid. Oh my God.
Or that karma will come get you.
Oh yeah, or right. Or people will say, hey, karma will get you. I mean, no matter what it is, if you inspire fear in others, that's conspiring. It is rude to make people feel afraid. Do you do that to children? Of course not. I mean, it's just like, it's incomprehensible for you to go, let's make this child afraid. Well, now we got adults. It's just that adults are just long children. That's all. But we think it's okay to make long children afraid. No, it's not okay at all. It's not okay. Again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, on anything, makes no difference to me. Mm-mm. I like variety. All I'm saying is, come on, don't scare one another. Don't scare people. You wouldn't scare your animals either, now would you? No. Don't scare others. There's no reason to plot against one another. There's no reason for us to be afraid and to use quotations from different things to prove our point to be right. Because at the end of the day, you'll probably change your mind anyway, because you're going to grow beyond wherever place that you are. Never speak in a way to like here, there's more than one person. I'm never going to speak to you about anything that's going to cause harm. No. First of all, it's not going to enter into my mind, because if I talk to you about doing harm to other people, it is bad beyond what I could even begin to imagine. It is. Because if I inspire you in a bad way, I scare you. If I scare you and tell you that people are after you or going to do something to you, and then you do that to other people and it goes bigger and bigger, do you know, think about this for just a moment. That feeling of fear, what happens? It makes people really angry because they feel like they have to hurt people right away. Be careful. Never, never make people afraid of you or what you think, because that will be in your future. People trying to make you afraid. Mm-mm. Everything comes back to us. Everything comes back. There's no punishment. There's no reward, but everything returns. Be careful. Inspire one another with love. Inspire one another with your practice. Do you want to know what the word for next month is? Or this month, I should say, September? Okay, ready? It is the word listen. Now, the saboteur of listen is dogma. Okay, so you have to look at that yourself and see what happens with that. But the word listen, I just want to give you a little hint about this word. The word listen is very closely related to intuition. Deep, deep listening is intuition. That's all intuition actually is it's listening. It's listening to sounds that you can't hear with your ears. Because there are sounds that are happening in the universe to every one of us every single day that you're not going to hear with your ears. Really. Sometimes I hear those sounds and sometimes I feel those sounds. But there are sounds, other people's thoughts about you is a sound. And it will affect you. Every thought that you think is a sound. It's an actual energy wave that's actually creating a sound. So listen to what you're thinking this month. Listen to what you're saying. Listen to the silence of your heart. Listen to your mind and see, oh, Lordy, it's like a freeway in there. And then practice quieting it down so that you feel better.
Close out and then take any questions.
So we're going to do 3 ohms together. And if you want to stay for a little bit, for a few minutes, then we'll take some questions. Okay. But for those who need to depart, thank you very much. And peace be with you and your family. And please stay for 3 ohms together. Peace be with you and your family. Thank you so much. Namaste. Okay, questions? Mara.
Okay. Yes. Within this, you mentioned earlier, just a reminder, Jackie, you've spoken to this before. There's natural, normal, and then the other two pairs that you have addressed, shame and being humiliated, the distinctions of those.
Okay, yeah. Okay, what was the first one you asked me about?
Uh, Natural and normal.
Yes, I know, I do like to use those terms. So if something is natural, it's good for you.
Mhm.
So it's really it's natural to eat well, right? It's natural to eat foods that are really good for you. Eat an avocado, really eat those superfoods, right? Okay, it's natural, it's good for you. So if I ate junk food for breakfast, junk food for lunch, junk food for dinner, this might be normal, but it isn't natural for me. So
Okay.
normalcy is something that I use as a measurement, like a majority of people kind of may think in various ways relating to this, like a normalcy kind of thinking, but normalcy isn't necessarily natural. It doesn't have to be good for us. So normal thoughts, normal words, normal actions aren't necessarily natural. Everything that's natural will be good for you.
And that kind of weaves into about conspire too, in a way, doesn't it? That's why I wanted to like connect those.
Oh, I love that. Yes, exactly. Because conspiring would be normal.
Mhm.
It is normal to conspire with one another. Well, we need to all meet against this person, we to conspire is something that's normal, but its intentions are not to do good, so it isn't natural.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because I'm have been experiencing that recently. So anyway, and thank you. And then
Yeah. And then shame, and what was it, the other one you had with it?
humiliation.
Oh, yeah. So humiliation is one of those things that's just kind of interesting because so when we have humility, so when we're practicing the virtue of humility, humility is a word that actually means inner strength. That's what humility means. But we don't see it as inner strength. We see it as sort of like kind of weak, and you push people around that are humble. That's not true at all. The person that is the most has the most humility is going to be the person that you're not going to be able to con. Only masters have perfect humility. They know that they can turn water into wine, but they are not interested in proving it or disproving it. They don't care if you think bad thoughts about them or good thoughts about them. They are unaffected by our thoughts, which makes them masters of energy, masters of love. But you see, we're not at that place. So what happens is that we don't have perfect humility. So instead, what happens is that we humiliate each other. We make each other look foolish, or we make each other look bad, and we purposefully shame them. So there's not a whole lot of humiliation. It's a fancy word for shaming.
Okay, so they are connected. They're not. Feel shame is to feel humiliated as well.
So what happens is that we actually don't have to go that route. Yogis tell us we don't become better people by, living a life of, well, yeah, I'll just endure this humiliation. No, it's not about retaliating or anything. It's about remembering who we are, that we are cosmic beings. When somebody humiliates us, they're telling us we're bad. They're saying, what's a good humiliation that's not negative? Like, you're a bad person. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, you're so good at insults.
Yeah, it's my forte. You're a really bad person. So if somebody throws that at you and says, you're a really bad person, you treated me so poorly, they're trying to make you feel like a really bad person, and that you're mean to other people. And even though whatever they're saying is wrong, they're not even in the ballpark, they've made a mistake or whatever, it's very hard to not hear that. And it can make us feel really, really bad about ourselves. But if we're practicing humility, We know who we are, and we know that what they're saying is wrong, but we don't want them to feel humiliation. We don't want to humiliate them back.
Right.
We don't want to spread that.
And then you don't also carry the burden of feeling shame. Is that?
Exactly. That's right, because you won't, because you'll know. I know who I am. I know I'm not that. I know that they're projecting onto me something in their life that they've experienced, and they're seeing me as that. You have to know the difference between you and what you're representing to another person all the time, you know? And so they can throw something at you that they actually feel that you've done because it reminds them of something that somebody else has done to them. You know, it's a hard thing.
Michelle is a good insult. Ew, you like peanut butter.
Ew. Who likes peanut butter? I'm
Thank
sorry. Yes, dear. Somebody else have a question?
No,
Hi, this is Marjorie.
Hi, Margie.
I really like when you made the comment about pulling up anger by thinking about some event from our past
Right.
and just sitting and stewing in that. I so like, oh my gosh, I do that.
Sure.
How do I get myself on the pathway? First of all, do people really not do that?
No, everybody does it.
Okay. So how can we address that? I just felt this ping when you said it, like this is something I've got to stop doing.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. So one of the things that happens is that because it's when we find ourselves doing that, we're conscious enough to notice that we're doing that. That means we have to up our practice. So what's happening is that the practice that you have is making you so that you're aware of this level of energy now, which is good. It's good. It's good. First of all, you have to be grateful that you're aware of it, because when we're not aware of it, what can you do about it? Nothing. So when you practice enough where you know the difference between when you're feeling like you're practicing and when you don't, this is a really good thing. So what happens is that when we're not guarded over our mind, you know, and our mind just sorts, it's like you're just sitting there and you're just thinking something. Maybe you have the television going on and you're mindlessly watching it, but there's something that goes across the television that that will remind you of an event from the past. So if you're not guarding your mind or you're not practicing enough, what will happen is that event will go in there because it's energy, and it will look for itself. Because energy is always looking for itself. Like attracts like to itself. So energy is always looking for itself. So if you've been watching something negative on TV and you're in a relaxed state because you've been looking at light, when you look at light, the computer or the television, you get relaxed. So as you're watching something that's on the television that's reminding you of something from your past that made you angry, that energy goes in there, you're relaxed, and that energy will look for the event that is the perfect match for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like attracts like to itself. So it stimulates that memory, and then you fall into it and it replays it for you, because nothing goes away. A person who has extreme dementia has all of their memories there. Their brain is what is the problem. Their mind is just perfectly fine. Their brain no longer functions, but all of their memories are still intact. Memories don't go away because your brain collapses. So when you start to feel these old memories starting to come up and they're starting to peel you, you know, you're in a perfectly nice mood. Now all of a sudden you're pissed off, you know, and then the next person comes in the room, you're going to be short with them. What did I do? Oh, right. So what you want to do is, first of all, remember, the first thing that happens is awareness. Nothing can happen without awareness. So your practice is teaching yourself to become aware that you're doing it. You got to become aware that you're stewing. You got to become aware. So sometimes means that our mind is not protected because we're not concentrating enough. We don't have enough concentration to keep the really low vibrations out. This is why I talk about concentration so much. We have to learn to concentrate more. If you lack concentration, if you just stop teaching yourself to have concentration and you stop practicing concentration, you're more susceptible to psychic invasion from other people's thoughts. And other people don't know that they're thinking so loud that they're affecting you. So they'll go ahead and think bad thoughts all around you all day long, and you will to them too. But the more you practice not doing that, when those old memories start to come in and they start to make you angry again, or they start to make you sad again, one of the things that I do to myself is I tell myself it's an echo. Sometimes I tell myself, it's a haunting, you know it's a haunting. So when I say the word haunting to myself, I know what I mean. What I mean is it's just an echo. It's not going to go away. Those memories never go away. Bad memories, good memories, everything you've ever thought, everything you've ever done, everything you've ever experienced, consciously or unconsciously, is still with you. Nothing ever goes away. What we're doing is we're learning how to build a strong mind so that we're not invaded by our past memories and we're not invaded by the thoughts of other people. And when you have more concentration, you teach yourself to think on one thing, then all the other things find their way in the back of your mind and they don't bother you so much. But if you don't have a mind that has deep concentration, then you can go someplace and your mind will be invaded by other people's thoughts. And when you start out your day feeling good, and then all of a sudden you're irritated and everybody around you is like, means you're being invaded. And at that moment, you have to catch it and you have to go, oh, no, 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 no. This is an invasion. These are not my thoughts. I got to calm myself down. I'm telling you, if you're in a public place, run to a public restroom, get into a stall and start to breathe. You'll be so glad that you came to your own aid because you're telling yourself, this is happening to me. This is not about me. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. These thoughts came from outside of me. See, or these thoughts came from my past. That's why I call them a haunting, because they are like a haunting. They're still in there. And there's certain things that'll trigger it. And anybody who has trauma, which most of us have some degree of trauma from some point in our life, if something comes by and reminds you of that, it can stimulate that trauma. Because those memories never disappear. They don't go away. We train ourselves not to go to them and touch on them. Ah, you see, you learn how not to do that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't situations that will happen around you that stimulates it. So what you have to do is when you're sitting around and you're not really thinking about anything in particular, don't let your mind just get all wasteful and go into the past and travel to painful memories. Don't let yourself do that. Get up, walk around, tell yourself, stop it. No. Past is past. You know, you have to discipline yourself to remember past is past. They're still there, and it's good for you to know that they're still there, that they're still affecting you, because they will. But your awareness is enough to keep them in check. And that awareness will make you aware of the things that are in your current situation that you can do something about. But practice concentration. Practice it.
These two kind of go together.
Okay, so deep concentration, how do we get there? By breathing and meditation. Well,
And being aware and being still.
okay, so being aware, being still, deep meditation, concentration, all these things is, the thing is that it's all, we all come under the heading of mindfulness. So really what mindfulness means is for you to be in the moment. So people don't want to be in the moment because they think, well, what about the future? What about the past? Well, where do you think those things converge? In the moment. The future comes from the moment. The present exists because of the past. The past and the future are right here. So as you become more aware of your present, you're much more aware of what brought you to the present and where you're going. But when you're always out there in the future, what should I do? What should I do? What do I want? What do I want? Where are you right now? It's not so much where do you want, what do you want out there? How are you going to get there if you don't know where you are? The more you stay in the present and you start asking yourself, what's going on with me? What pleases me? What do I want to learn about? And teach yourself things. Teach yourself a new language. Teach yourself how to bake. Teach yourself how to paint. Teach yourself anything. Practice deeper concentration. Take up archery. That takes a tremendous amount of concentration. Take up chess. But anything that requires concentration will make your mind develop new interests. When you develop new interests, you develop new concentration. These two things go together. If you have minimal concentration and you don't practice concentration, you will not develop a new interest. As a new interest comes into your life, you see you start craving it and you're like, I want to find out everything I can about this. Oh, this is going to be so exciting. But if you don't actually have a new interest, you have to start learning to concentrate more deeply. More deeply. Find something to concentrate on.
Great.
And then very good.
I'll take that.
Oh, yes. And that's the other thing is gratitude. That's right. Gratitude is a great thing to concentrate on. That's one thing that is in my practice every single day. I even was thinking, that's so funny that you brought that up. This morning in my practice, I was thinking about how two of the prayers that I say are all gratitude, and I didn't even realize it. You know, just listing all of these things that are in my life. And the more that I do those prayers of gratitude, it makes me remember what's in my toolbox. You know, that I'm loved, that I'm supported, that, you know, that I'm living at the source here with the yogis, you know. we have inspiration that can help us. You know, the more grateful you are, the more you realize how many tools you actually have, and you're going to be more willing to be courageous and move forward and take a chance and to learn things and to become better. And it's really a much better way to live.
May I say something?
Please, yes, Miss
Oh,
Lee.
hi. I was even thinking about, I think you told me before about being grateful for difficult situations, and so be grateful for, and so it's reminded me of this used to be a practice of mine, to be aware and to be grateful and to learn, and that way we grow. And so even if it's a difficult situation, a difficult person, to be grateful for them to be here to teach you something that's going to help you grow.
Yes.
That was beautiful. Thank you for reminding me of that today.
Oh, see, and I'm grateful too that we're even talking about it. And it's true, because we all have someone that's, you know, quite a good teacher for us.
Yes, right.
We all have a person in our life that's really a good teacher, but yet we're not always thinking them as a teacher. And it's important to thank the divine one for this person to be mirroring things to you, because it's important to see the wrong way of doing things as well as the right way of doing things. And if we don't find that gratitude, we can mirror that other person that's doing it the wrong way really easily. But when you're grateful for recognizing that they're not doing it the correct way, you know that this is going to come back to them. It'll give you compassion for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because you know it's going to come back to them. And you know that because you think to yourself, oh my God, I almost indulged in that and it would come back to me too. You see how it makes you aware of what you can see happening to the other person could happen to you too. And it teaches us to take better care of ourselves and to be more centered and to remember that spirituality makes us strong. It doesn't make us weak. That humility is another word for inner strength. Has nothing to do with meekness. No. Those people, yes, right. Sometimes those people are sandpaper to our souls. They just take those rough edges right off of us. Audrey, that was great.
What was that? Oh, sandpaper to the soul.
Yeah, it's like sometimes people are like sandpaper to our souls, you know.
I love that.
Rubbing that rough edges off of us.
I have
Go ahead.
You know what? In this, the whole discussion here this morning, it's brought something to my attention that I've done and we've all done. And that is to bring to someone's attention karma. So how do we actually go back and even into the universe and take that back and say, I take back those words of karma that I've put towards you.
Oh, I see. Beautifully put.
What's that?
Beautifully put. So first of all, we can't take it back.
Okay.
No, what's happened has happened and we cannot alter the past. Yeah, as much as we want to. Yeah, I always say you can't go back and rearrange the furniture, you know? It is what it is. It happened the way it happened and it can't be erased. However, karma from the past is working through the present. But how we deal with our karma in the present moment, like if let's say that I become very aware that in the past I said some things to somebody that I could tell really was devastating to them, and so I become a parent to it right now. Let's say it comes to me and I realize, oh my God, I really was really hard on that person, you know, and I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, but now I realize, no, not at all. I can't change that. I can't change the effect that it's already had on the person. Can't change any of that. However, because I'm aware of it, I can add to it. So let's say this recipe is already done. Okay, so I hurt this person. It's already a recipe. It's already been baked. That's what's done is done. But now what I can do is, because of that, it's like I made a bad cake. So now, have you ever baked and you know, you go, oh, I overbeat it, the batter, or, you know, oh, I forgot to put this in, or I see what happened, because you learn by experience, right? So the experience is karma. So what happens now is, because I'm aware of it, so now there'll be an opportunity for me to be able to put out into the universe. I can, if maybe that person's not even around me anymore, so I can pray for that person as often as I want. I can say, Ganesha, kindly remove the obstacles for that person that I was mean to, and kindly remove their obstacles to peace, peace, peace.
I have said that prayer after you told me so many times, to remove all the obstacles to peace, peace, peace. I have said that so many times.
Good, keep saying it, because it really helps, because the karma that you're producing now mixes with the old bad karma. So it makes it better, makes a better recipe. It does make a better recipe. And remember that karma has nothing to do with punishment. It has nothing to do with reward. Nobody's being rewarded or punished. It's that what goes out, the way that it affects the other person, what your actual intention was, whether you're acknowledging what your intention was or not, will come back to you exactly the way you intended it to go towards the other person. That's usually quite shocking, because it comes in a time when we don't even aren't prepared for it. So we feel perfectly innocent. And that's why it feels like we're being punished. Nobody's being punished. It's just a little shocking sometimes when it comes and the way it comes. And besides, you'll get another opportunity to be with that person again.
A good and a bad thing.
to work it out again. So I tell you these things in this way because you know I take it very, very seriously, but at the same time, you got to see the humorous part with it too, or it'll be too serious and then you won't be able to do it.
Yeah, well, it's a son and they're, ooh, what a temper they have.
Well, you keep praying for their peace then. Good for you. You're their mama, so your prayer is very valuable.
You know, I've thrown out the words, you know, it's karma, Bobby, it'll come back to you. And now that you say all this, I'm like, oh my goodness, I probably should have never said that.
Well, that is something that I always tell people, oh, yeah, don't say that to anyone because that'll come back to us too. It's okay. And awareness just, it pushes that away, you know, and remember that everything happens according to your intentions and to the degree that you do something. So if you do something without any intention at all, it comes back to you this much. If you do it with the intention to cause harm to that person, it comes back in equal measure. So like if a person says something to you on the freeway and you intensify that by saying it back to them and you make it double, you intended for them to be hurt by that and that'll come back to you again.
Yeah.
See, this is how we protect ourselves practically. We go, oh, we start to understand the laws of energy. The more you understand the laws of energy, you start taking care of yourself better because you're like, oh, I don't want that in my future. Of course you don't, dear. So we start to get better. we start to recognize how to become truly free people, truly free people.
Any other questions? We good?
Any other questions?
We good?
I just wanted to give a shout out for Miss Ruby, who I think has a birthday tomorrow.
Oh, Miss Barr, you're so sweet. Yes, she
Thank
does.
you. You're so sweet.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Ruby.
birthday.
It's Virgo season, the best season, you know.
Happy birthday, Ruby.
Long live our Virgos.
Jacqueline, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Peace be
Thank
with you and your
you.
families. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Blessings to you.
We'll see if
Thank
the
you.
recording works out. If so, we'll send it out. If not, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. It
Yeah.
hasn't cooperated, so we'll
Hi,
find
Michelle.
out.
Mucho, mucho amor.
Mm. Bless you, dear.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Bye-bye. Bye, lovelies.